Hey, this is Kirk.
And this is Berg. It's the Kirk and Berg Show. And we are thrilled to have two Bethel Bruin legends, basketball icons back from the late 80s, early 90s. So and actually, again, here we go, Kirk. You're just going to kind of keep the thing going. But these are my boys. You notice that it's the theme like basketball weekend, all my friends. Corey Steward and Chris Jackson, two basketball legends. But I knew him before that. So welcome to the show, Corey and Chris.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for inviting us.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Kirk, tell the people where they can find us.
Yep. First of all, Corey and Chris, great to have you on. We're looking forward to some cool stuff, people finding out where you are now, what your journey's been like. There's probably some people that have not talked to you guys since 89, 90, 91. So it was good to catch up, but we want to encourage everybody to subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, the Kirk and Bird BYRD show. Follow us on Twitter, which is big with student athletes, at the Kirk and Bird BYRD. And also for just an audio podcast, if you ever want to listen to us while you're working out, windshield time, whatever, we are on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and Google. Having said that, why don't
the best way to watch it is on YouTube, because then you can see this. All right.
Right.
Okay.
You see all his facial expressions. Yeah.
You can't see this when you just listening to it.
Right.
Oh, go ahead. That's it.
No, that's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Rusty, do you ever take off that hat though?
Go ahead, man. Let it go. Come on home, man.
Hold on, Corey. Corey, you got light shining off that chrome dome of yours. So, hey.
Listen, and Kirk, like we just said, I think the last time folks have seen me,
Right here.
we all had flat tops, so you know this has been a long time.
Right.
Oh, flat top. I'm on 16.
For the record, guys, I have been bald longer than I had hair in my life. That's sad, man. Y'all probably just finally took it off in the last decade. Mine's been
Let me ask you, Rusty, could you do the George Jefferson though, where it's bald on top and you got it on the sides?
I could. That's what it would be.
How
I did
about
it when COVID first came out. Like we were just sitting in the house. I let it all grow. Bro, I had a gray beard and the gray George Jefferson, y'all.
What about you, Corey? How much you got left? I see some.
I have hair, but my receding hairline comes all the way back here. So,
now, Chris,
that,
is that just a shame, or you follically challenged?
Well, this is the thing. I tried to grow hair last year, but I got my little spot in the back. So it actually can grow. I just got my little spot back here. I kept trying, but then I just had to let it go.
So the problem with me and Chris is we were blessed with such good hair back in the day.
Right.
You know, God couldn't let us keep that for the whole time, man. We just had to, we used it while we had it. It was our superpower, and then it just had to go away.
That's right.
Man.
It's unfortunate.
All right.
Those curls, man. Those curls look good.
Those curls back in the day.
The water, man, it's good to go.
Let's get started with this joint. First of all, again, thank you for being here. Guys, let's go back a little bit. So some of our viewers may know you from being basketball stars at Bethel. Corey, you graduated in 1990, right?
Yep.
And Chris, you came out in 89. But let's go back a little bit. Chris, we'll start with you, because your basketball career started in my driveway, right? In 1983. But tell us, Chris, when did you start playing basketball? And tell us a little bit about your journey and what, where did you play in youth ball, then you played at Bethel, and so on.
Wow, yes. It's interesting because we talk, me and Corey talk, I was some other ex-teammates in terms of like how we got to this point. I know for me, it started, watching Darren Footwood. So I remember the first team I ever played on, Simmons Middle School. I remember it was a Hampton City League. I was playing with Troy Footwood, who was Darren's brother.
Oh, yeah.
Darren used to come and pick me up when I was like 10, 11 years old from Northampton Apartments to go over to Simmons Middle School. And me, Craig Rainey, and ended up going to
squad.
Yeah, we went to the championship and actually lost to Milan Brown's team. I remember that Milan had a bunch of heads. So
Milan killed you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And but from there, matriculating, I spent a lot of time in Newport News as well because I had a lot of friends in terms of family down there, and it was one of those things in terms of this, playing, the neighborhood again. Rusty, you and your brother. I'm sorry. His name is now Dez. Now you changed it.
Dez.
I don't know what that means, but that's Dez. Hey, cool. He Dez now. I don't know what that means.
Went from Melendez, Lenny to Dez.
I know. It's Lenny, Lindez, Melendez.
But yeah,
he another big ball brother.
Yeah. So we used to play, playing competitive, just in the neighborhood, and going up through Jeff Davis, the JV basketball, and eventually, varsity, and it was able to blessed enough to play on the Division I level. So it's been quite a journey.
Chris, let me ask you this: when did you realize that you might be able to do this in college?
Oh wow, that's a good question. So my first, I played JV my 9th and 10th grade year, and I think it was when two things happened.
You got 6. I tell you when you became 6.
When I grew, but that was part of it. I grew like 4 inches. I remember. I think I was at the end of my sophomore year. I was around 6'5", 6'6", but I was obviously very skinny, not very coordinated. So two things happened. Number one, I was made to run cross country, run track. I
remember that.
Right, and I pretty much allowed me to be able to run. It was interesting because after I ran cross country, I was able to dunk a basketball game. It was coincidental all that happened. So that gave me the confidence to know that, hey, I could do some things. And I ended up playing real well as a 10th grader, was MVP of the team. And I think what made me know I could play college ball was, again, Corey had moved that summer before my junior year. And we went and played in a tournament in Florida. And it was a tournament with there were tons of great teams out there. I think we beat the team that Robert Ord played on. And I played against him, and I think all of us
guarding them too. And Chris was guarding the full court.
Yeah, all of us played.
Was that playing for Bethel?
Yep.
Bethel.
I was supposed to chaperone that trip, man.
So that was Bethel, not Boo Williams? Not Boo
Williams?
No,
that was high school. That was in high school. That was the Christmas tournament.
Right.
That was a Christmas tournament. Yeah, Melendez said he tried to check Ori too. Yep.
Yeah, I know he did. Yeah, exactly. but doing that tournament, we think we came in like 4th place. I think I averaged like double figures, and that's when I first started getting recruiting letters from colleges after that particular tournament, and then it went from there.
Hey, Chris, did you make like all tournament team or something?
I was honorable mention.
I knew it was something like that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Okay, all right. And so let's back to the space. We'll get your college story in a little bit, Chris. Corey, tell us about your journey.
Okay, I think as Chris just mentioned, I grew up in Baltimore. So I didn't necessarily, I didn't grow up in Hampton. I didn't move to Hampton until I was in the 10th grade. So I grew up in Baltimore. I played in like the Catholic School League in Baltimore. I went to this school called St. Mary's from 1st grade all the way up to 8th grade. They had like a house league basketball team. Mm-hmm. I played for them. And then I also, at the same time, I would always play in the city league. And of course, if you play in the Catholic School League, I dominated that league. On Sunday, I played in the city league, barely got off the bench. I got destroyed every single day. Practice was horrible. I was the worst player on the team. But since I was tall, I was on the team. And, that Saturday, I would always play well in the Catholic School League. That built my confidence, you know what I mean? So I would practice on everything I needed to practice on. And then eventually things started to work out for me a little bit sooner than probably a lot of people. Because I remember when I was I remember the first time I dunked it, I remember I was in the 6th grade, the first time I dunked.
6th grade.
I was in the 6th grade the first time I dunked. It was at the Dr. J basketball camp. At yeah.
Whoa.
First time I dunked, and I remember, man, I was so excited about it. And then I remember that next year, just like Chris was saying, as soon as you start being able to dunk, that's when all the confidence, everything starts to come together, especially in the city. You know, being able to dunk in the city in Baltimore, that was like big time. And, you know, and I was doing it in the Catholic School League at that, you know what I mean? So, you know, it gave me a lot of confidence. I started to grow. I started to get a little bit more coordinated. Ended up getting a basketball scholarship to the school in Baltimore called Calvert Hall.
Yep.
So
That's a
Calvert
big
Hall College, it's in Towson. Yeah, I got a basketball scholarship there and played 1 year. Then my parents got a divorce, and that's how I ended up down in Hampton. And the funny thing about it is, the first day I went to Bethel to register that summer, I saw Coach Bailey in the office.
Oh.
And then he told me that he said, well, you know, we're getting ready to, I have a couple of guys coming by and playing basketball at the YMCA. If you want to stop by, just stop on by. So I was like, okay, I don't have anything else to do. You know, my mom worked at Hampton Social Services, so it was the building right next to the YMCA. And so she dropped me off at the YMCA, and lo and behold, Big Jack was there. So that was like the first person I met. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had his K-Swiss tied tight. He had those K-Swiss tied so tight. I was like, man, this is different. You know, I'm not used to this. You know, everybody in the city, you know, they dress a certain way. Chris has some low-cut K-Swiss on. I was like, man, they kind of different down here in Hampton, boy.
Yeah. Oh, well, I tell you what. Now, Baltimore is different than PG County, but I'll never forget when my brother one summer went to, I mean, that summer, it was spring break. I think that spring break of his 10th or 11th grade year. My aunt was a guidance counselor at Northwestern High School, which is right across the street from University of Maryland. That's where Lynn Bias, Jay Bias, they went there. My aunt was their guidance counselor, but my brother, it was his spring break when he came to spend the week with my aunt. And every day he would go to school with her because my cousin had a different spring break. And he said, he called me, I was in college. He said, Rusty, you won't believe it. He said, everybody in this school is wearing the Reeboks. They was wearing them white classic Reeboks, and everybody was rocking them. And then he said, right here in PG, they all got their own flavor. Like, and I know your vibe was a little different in Baltimore, but that's when we realized, like, oh, okay, it's different in different places. Besides that, I just thought we was all the same. But yeah, there's different flavors.
Yeah, I remember growing up in Baltimore, if you played for a particular team, you know, those would be the better teams. Man, they would give you tennis shoes, you got jackets, you got bags, you got everything. So, of course, the best players would always want to play for the teams that gave you the most gear. And that's just the way it was in the city, man. The city was, man, it was fantastic growing up in Baltimore. You know what I mean? I know all of the bad news that they're talking about, the crime and stuff like that, but when you're a kid, you don't know anything about that. I mean, you see certain things that you know what to avoid, but growing up in the city, man, I thought it was the best experience ever.
Corey, what public school would you have been zoned for? High school?
High school, probably Lake Clifton.
Oh, they used to be a powerhouse back then.
Yeah. So, so I grew up with Sam.
They like the Lakers.
So, yeah, I grew up with Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell's father was like best friends with my father. So like most of the teams that I used to play on, like a lot of the All-Star team, you know, I would play with him. I would be on the bench, but Sam would always be the star of the team. But at the same time, Sam was always a good guy. Like I remember even talking to him, like so once he got to Virginia State and I was at UVA, it was the exact same thing. You know what I mean? Still a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. So let me ask you, so we know you guys played basketball, and again, we'll talk more about your college careers, but did you guys play any other sports growing up? Like, Corey, you probably could have been a mean tight end, bro.
You know what, man? Look, I went to Catholic school, so, you know, I played, starting in first grade, I played soccer. So I played soccer from first grade until, I think, 7th grade. And, but, you know, I just ended up being, you know, just too tall, you know what I mean? And then I got better at basketball. And then that, you know, that's kind of the way the transition actually happened. But for those first 6 years, from first grade to sixth grade, I played soccer every weekend.
That is a great sport for developing all types of skills. Chris, I don't remember anybody with us growing up playing soccer, but I made sure my 3 kids all played soccer. What about you, Chris? But did you play any other sports?
Other than it was the cross country, and again, I was forced to do this by Coach Taylor, Coach Bailey, Coach Morgan, and of course I hated. I did the first meet. I came in like last place behind the girls. It was embarrassing, but you know, through how can I say, some persuasion by Coach Taylor and Coach Bailey, I started taking it more seriously. And by the end of the tournament, I actually came in 9th place in the district tournament.
Wow.
Whoa.
And I think at my best time was like 22 something. So I was actually pretty good when I started taking it seriously. So and then, you know, I really could have went to regionals, but at the time I was kind of tired of running. I was time to go play basketball. but yeah, and I credit that really for getting me to the point I was able to get a scholarship.
Right.
Chris, let me ask you this. Hold on. We heard Corey say it. Did you say when was the first time you dunked a basketball? What grade?
Probably like in my 9th, 10th grade year, just because I just wasn't as coordinated. I didn't really, but the track was the thing that helped me. Once I was able to do that, then I was like dunking backwards. I was dunking the JV game at that time, but it took me a while to get there.
Chris, that was a trick question because I remember the first time you dunked. It was in my driveway.
Oh,
and you left-handed, right? And you and I both could start from the top, and it was easy to dunk. You left-handed, right?
Yeah.
And you could dunk with your left hand coming from because it was an angle.
It was an angle. Wow, you come down. You was coming down here.
I could dunk on that joint, man. If you were at the bottom of the driveway, it was a 10-foot jumper. If you was at the top of the driveway, it might have been about 7.5 feet. But I remember you dunking on my driveway because I got mine in back then.
Man, I used to make that walk through the woods, through the little path. I remember those days.
Yep.
Brother,
yeah.
I was wondering how you could dunk, by the way. Little vertically challenged.
I thought he was talking about Aberdeen goals or something like that.
Right. It was pretty much like Aberdeen for the most part.
So you guys realized that you may be able to play college ball. What about recruitment? You know, why don't we start with you, Chris? You said you got noticed at that tournament in Florida. You guarded Robert Horry. I can't remember if we were off camera or not. Yeah. Why don't you talk about the recruiting process and you know how it was, and you know, 89 had a lot of good quality basketball players down in the 757, big time.
Oh, absolutely, and really, you know, me and Corey both went to 5-star at that time and got a lot of interest there, and I think I went on 3 or 4 visits, had a ton of interest from a lot of different schools. And you know, it's interesting because you go through that process. It's nerve-wracking, but it also, I know for me personally, it's my first time getting on airplanes and going to other areas outside of where I was. It was my first time staying in a hotel that didn't face to the outside. It was like, wow, okay, this is a bit different. You know, it's like 4-star meals, so you have this. It was that sort of level. So yeah, it was and then one thing I would say that was a big advantage, and I hope Coach Bailey and Mrs. Bailey are listening to this. Every college coach that came to recruit Corey and I, they hosted at their house. Every one. And Corey got more schools than I did when he came out. But even with me, had to be about 15 or 20 dinners that every time a coach came, they hosted, which was tremendous. And it really set the tone and really helped me really understand and make the right decision. And, you know, ultimately I had a number of schools, American, you know, South Florida, Central State, were looking at me. And then a lot of schools like Richmond and James Madison who were interested but wanted to wait until the exam period. And I took my business to college in Charleston, and just, you know, I fell in love with the school, but what really happened is that Coach Kress pretty much kind of got my mom to make me say yes. Him and Coach Bailey. I remember those times. I mean, and they came up to see me. So not to go belabor this, but I remember my senior year, I broke my hand. So I didn't even play in the first 4 games. And they were still coming up to see me just to say hi to me, and I couldn't even play because I was on the bench with a broke hand. So it's that adage that they always say, love the one who loves you the most, and we love you the most. That's what it came down to.
I think Melendez would say they actually came up to watch Melendez play.
That's what I think he would say.
They came up to watch. They came up to watch Melendez play defense and use all 5 fouls. That's what they.
I got plenty of stories about Melendez this foul, this grabbing me all the time. But and Melendez, my game, Corey, he tried to dunk it, and the ball went under the rim, and he was actually in the box. You can tell me he slipped. I remember that too.
Corey, tell us about your recruitment process.
I was just going to say, Corey, that if you could dunk in 6th grade and you were playing in Baltimore where there's a lot more eyes on you, even though Hampton Roads had a great reputation for basketball players, it's nothing like Baltimore, DC, Philadelphia. Something tells me yours was a little more crowded. Talk to us about.
Kurt, I can say this, and I was surprised at this, and I think it was probably the best decision for my parents to move, or my mom to move, because of this. In Baltimore, of course, there are a whole bunch of people. You know what I mean? It's saturated, though. It's saturated. Once I came down to Hampton and started playing with Boo Williams, that gave me a different level of notoriety. Whereas when I was in Baltimore, I was just another tall guy.
Yep.
You know, of course, I got a scholarship to go to high school to play, but it was not the exact same thing. You know what I mean? Because playing in Baltimore, I think like a lot of talent stays in Baltimore. They go to smaller schools. Once I started playing with Boo's players, I mean, I remember that first year was Alonzo, Cornell, Brian Stith.
Yeah.
These guys were playing on that same team. And the amount of attention that they were getting, oh man, that just elevated my attention and my game from that standpoint. You know what I mean?
And I can tell you also playing for Boo. I was on the report, but I mean, I was playing on Boo's second traveling team, and all of us got Division I scholarships. It was, so I think that's what we're saying. That notoriety playing against, Alonzo and the Brad Stith and those players. I mean, it was ultra highly competitive. So I can definitely say that.
Didn't you guys? I think it was your years because the league got a little more established, especially with J.R. Reed and Alonzo. Didn't you guys get to go to Europe?
No. That was
the girls did. The girls went to Ireland. I remember.
I think Kirby went for some reason.
Yeah, I didn't go. If you remember, Kurt, my year that I was playing with Boo was when Kirby hit that shot in the Coliseum. I don't know if you remember that. Kirby hit that shot, and I think either the year before they went over to Europe somewhere.
Right.
But it wasn't my year.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, but in regards to the recruiting thing, like I can't say that they were recruiting me in high school, but I think being in Baltimore, I realized since you play with so many guys, they come back and play in the summertime. I had a feeling that I could play in college. Now, at what level, I wasn't quite sure. But I had a feeling that I would be able to play at some level, or at least get a scholarship. But then, once I went to Boo, and then we ended up playing. I remember, that year 5-star that I came with Chris, I ended up hurting my ankle, so I didn't play that much that particular year 5-star. But the very next year 5-star, I played exceptionally well. Got invited back for the All-Star game later on in that summer, had a fantastic AAU season. And I remember playing with Boo, I was getting attention. And I remember like schools like Virginia Tech, Bradford, things like that, Lynchburg, those schools were reaching out to Coach Bailey going into my senior year. I'm saying like spring of my junior year. But then once I came back from that summer, I think I probably had, I don't know. I mean, you would have to talk to Coach Bailey, but I know it was close to 100 different schools, 100, 200 schools were interested in me at that point.
Wow.
Then it got to a point where I had so many schools that were interested and wanted to come to Coach Bailey's house. I mean, I know we had to cut the list down. I remember in one of the magazines, they were like, here's Corey Steward, had to cut his list all the way down to like, I think it was like 21 schools or something like that that came, that came to Coach Bailey's house. And, big name schools. I had a fantastic time. The same thing like Chris was saying, Miss Bailey, Coach Bailey hosted every single event. They made the whole experience, fantastic. It wasn't stressful for my parents whatsoever. Everybody had to call Coach Bailey, and he would organize all of the meetings. I just thought the whole recruiting process was perfect for me. Right. But and then at the end of that, I don't even remember what my 5 schools were, but I know Georgetown wanted me, Louisville, who else? Wake Forest, the UVA, Maryland. Those were some of my schools. So it was kind of like, it came down to that. And then I eventually decided on UVA. You know what I mean? Like I really wanted to go to Wake Forest. That was a school that I wanted to go. I fell in love with Coach Wainwright, ended up playing for him later on at UNCW. But I really wanted to go to Wake Forest. That was a school that I wanted to go to.
Was 5 Star still in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. Yep. It was in Pittsburgh, and they had another one that was in that one that was later on. It was in the Poconos.
Okay. Yeah. Now we started going on this before we started recording. And I'm like, guys, hold off. This is a good conversation. So Rusty said 88, 89 with you guys on the Bethel team. How did you not win the state championship? Hampton won it that year. And they had a really good team. They had Kevin Swan, Eric Hunter, Gannon Baker, Aaron Mundy.
Aaron Mundy, yeah.
Yeah.
They had Paul Blackman. Did they have Paul Blackman too?
Yep, they had Paul Blackman.
Yeah. Yep. So now we can start it. You said there's a story behind that. Let's get it out. Let's get it out.
But hold on now. Now wait a minute. Let me just say this. Also, I'm gonna tell y'all, the PD was loaded back there. I'm just go class of '89 also had Kickerton, right? They had the Brown brother. They had Milan, right? And then they had a solid squad. I can't remember everybody else, but then Ferguson. Didn't they have Steve Artist? They had what's big my big man
Sean Lynch.
Yeah, Lynch. So the district was, if you could survive that district,
game was good.
Yeah. So but tell us, y'all had some ballers. I mean, like y'all had some legit ballers, 88, 89, and y'all had size. What happened?
Yeah. What happened? Wow. What happened? I'll let Corey answer that.
Listen, me and Chris talk about this all the time. So like, me and Chris hang out all the time. So we're like best friends. So, but I think that in hindsight, I know we had all the hype. I don't even think people realize how good that team was. You know what I mean? Like in practice, the practices were probably the equivalent of like almost like a Division I team. I mean, we had multiple players at every single spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had multiple people at center. We had multiple forwards, small forwards, every position. So I don't know. I think it was more so, I think we had so many people, but there was no way to get all of those people in the game.
Yeah.
There was no way.
Seriously. Y'all had David
we had
Brown.
so much talent on that team.
Y'all had Pete, Troy, Raymond, Craig. Oh my gosh, Craig.
Right. We had David Brown. We had Wayne Jackson.
Big Wayne.
We had
big Kennedy Bland, who was
we had Kennedy.
Yeah.
We had Manfred. We had Manfred Mooney. Right. Manfred was unstoppable.
Was Wesley Tuning on there too?
Yeah, Wesley.
Ronald
Berry.
Oh man!
I can take you.
You had Pete and Troy.
Everybody. We had everybody.
I guess we'll throw you in there too, little bro.
Yeah. Then off the bench.
We had everybody.
But I think I would say this, and I'm gonna speak for myself, right? Because I actually watched the game recently that I played in high school, right? And so, I probably scored like 30-some points or whatever. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, why am I jogging up and down the court, right? I don't know, and I'm gonna again. We can always say what happened, but I'm gonna speak for myself because I'm like, in college in Charleston, if I couldn't jog over anything, I was going full speed on anything. So I wish I would have had the mentality I had when I was in college back in high school, because I think that would have helped, right? Not only motivate me, but to motivate others. I mean, the reality was, Corey and I were the best players on the team, right? And so, ultimately, it starts with us. And I can say with me, knowing how, playing on the team in the college of Charleston, we won, we were over 500 each year I was there. So we were used to winning. And part of that was just making sure we're holding people accountable. And I would say that for me personally, I wish I would have done a better job of holding other people accountable, not just worrying about, obviously me scoring and making all district, but it's the other things to make a winner. So
I would also say, Chris, you looking back at that, what I think also is you now have a coach's eye. You've been a very successful AAU coach, and wait a minute, I got to bring this up. Chris, remember when we coached the team in Alexandria back in the day? In the mid-90s, we had a basketball team in Alexandria. Coach Chris was the head coach, and I was the assistant coach.
Oh, man, I remember
I remember Chris said, "Oh, this kid is good. This kid was good," and I was like, he was like, "Oh, that kid." I remember one kid said, "Oh, he could probably play D." I'm thinking, man, can't none of these kids even make a JV next year? but we coached them boys up. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
So how did y'all do against Hampton? Oh, I'm sorry.
We beat Hampton actually one time that year. Actually,
we beat them once.
Yeah.
Right. How about the district tournament?
I don't think we played them.
We lost to Kickingham. That was my last house game was against Kickingham. So we lost. Yeah.
Oh, y'all got eliminated because they were sending 2 to the regionals back then.
Yeah.
They were doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Kickingham beat you.
Oh, yeah, it was them and Denby, wasn't it?
The problem
Denby and Hampton went.
Yeah. Did Milan Brown light y'all up?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
He had about 30. I trust him. Every point guard.
But I know those games were. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's when my man kept dunking.
Kevin Owens. Yeah. Of course you remember that.
What was his name?
I know. That's all I saw too.
But for Kickingham?
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Oh man.
Abraham? Was it Abraham?
No, that was the big one. The big guy that went to Marquette. Faisal Abraham. Not him.
I don't think it was him.
Yeah, I forgot.
Right. Okay.
So tell us, guys. Tell us a little bit about your college experience, Corey. You started out at Virginia, and then you made that move to UNC Wilmington. Tell us about that.
Well, and this goes back to what Chris just said. Like when I came out of high school, at Bethel, I'm thinking I was, the best thing since sliced bread. You know what I mean? And then I played on Boo's team, and I think that year I was also the featured player that year. So in my opinion, I thought I was there. I thought I had made it. I get to UVA, and man, that was a rude awakening, man. You know what I mean? Like now, this is the ACC. Practices are completely different. Back to what Chris was saying with the hustling and being, boxing out every single play, getting down the court every single time, playing defense every single time, being in the right spot. I didn't know anything about that my freshman year. Right. You know what I mean? I had I knew nothing about any of that. So the transition my first year was extremely difficult. It was going to be hard for me to get any time because I didn't know how to compete yet. I didn't know how to compete at that level. I didn't know how to lift weights. I didn't know how to do anything. That whole first year was almost like an adjustment period to try to figure it out. But then I think that I probably, after my first year at UVA, which was a complete learning experience, I think I got acclimated to college, but at the same time, sometimes, man, you get stuck behind the 8 ball, and I ended up getting recruited over. And then sometimes the coaches, you know, they had their players that they want and they recruited, and there was no way for me to be able to sway them whatsoever. So then I was kind of forced to end up transferring at the end of my second year.
Who was your head coach? Did you play for Terry Holland or Jeff Jones?
You know what? I was recruited by Terry Holland, but during that recruitment period, he also told us that that he was going to retire.
Yep.
And so when I actually made the announcement or signed with UVA, I didn't know who the coach was going to be. The coach wasn't decided until probably that summer. And then Coach Jones and Jeff Jones, I think he's still at ODU now, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so he was the coach. And so, you know, of course, like it was kind of late in the recruiting period for him. But at the same time, you know, I came in with some really good players, man. Cornell was there, Cornell Parker. I think he's a coach down in Virginia Beach now. And then also Derek Johnson was also one of my players. He was like I think he was an All-American out of New Jersey. So yeah, man, we had a really good time. But at the same time, like I said, man, it was just an adjustment period that I wasn't quite ready for.
Yeah.
You played with Brian Stiff too, right?
Yeah, I played with Stiff, man. I played with Stiff. Which man, Stiff was, man, he was so good, man. Stiff was good. Stiff was good. Crotty was fantastic. It was Crotty.
Yeah, that's right, John.
John Crotty, Chris, Matt Blunden, Ted Jeffries. Who else was on that team? Anthony. Anthony was on that team.
Anthony Oliver.
Anthony,
yeah.
Yep.
Kenny Turner.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and Kenny Turner, exactly. So it was a good veteran squad. And trust me, I wasn't going to get any time past any of those seniors. You know what I mean? Like they would destroy me every single day in practice. So that entire year, it was just me learning how to lift weights, learning how to play defense, learning how to, you know, just kind of manage my time. It was, man, there was a lot going on that first year. I wish there was something like, I wish there was a way for me to be able to prepare for that, but I didn't even know. You know what I mean? I thought it was all about basketball. I thought I was ready, and I definitely wasn't ready.
What about UNC Wilmington? How was your time there? I followed you. You know, I watched every UVA game I could, Wilmington games. But how was your time in Wilmington? You were balling there.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, but at that point, I had figured out the the college basketball. You know, it took me a few years, but at the same time, that transition was completely simple. You know what I mean? Because I knew that once I went to UNCW, I said, there's no way in this world at this point I'm not going to play every single game. You know what I mean? So, you know, I made sure of that because I figured out how to compete at that point. I knew what was expected. I knew what was expected from me. I had goals that I was trying to meet, things like that. I didn't come into college with those same expectations, but once I figured it out, you know, I got acclimated and then I was able to compete and I ended up having a good 2 years there. I wish it had been longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you were the same class, and you probably played boo with Kendrick Warren, right? He went to VCU when I was there. Great player, great guy, man. I mean, from day one when he got there, I had known him when he was young, but you played against him in college too, right?
Yeah. Kendrick. Actually, the funny thing about it is, me and Kendrick went on the visit together and roomed together at UVA. Because we played Boo Williams together. So we played Boo Williams. And then when we went to visit UVA, it was me and him on that visit together. So that was kind of funny. Yeah. Yeah, we ended up having a good time on that visit too. But, you know, like I told you before, like that, I had so many options at that time, probably too many options of what school to go to. And then I can't necessarily say that UVA was the best fit, but it was the best university. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. Chris, you went to Charleston. Were they, because they at one point, I don't know if it was while you were there, but right after they became a college power. What was that? Were you a part of that transition?
Yeah, I think the program had just turned Division I when I got there. And again, just going back to what Corey said, it was really getting ready, getting my body, my mindset ready to compete. So my freshman year, I actually played good the first couple of practices, but I hit the wall because I just wasn't mentally ready. I didn't really know how to compete, like Corey had mentioned. So my last 3 years, so I got that confidence, and ended up starting my sophomore year, 5 years of my sophomore year. My first start, coincidentally, was UNC Wilmington. First start, and I had double that game, and I started every game for the rest of my career. And yeah, and during that time, we had to travel everywhere. So we was going to Vanderbilt, going to UVA, going to Wyoming, and all these schools. And we were playing these schools very tough. We weren't getting blown out. Matter of fact, we played UConn. Only lost them by 7. I remember my sophomore year. So fast forward on to my senior year, the biggest win of the college, we beat Georgia Tech, and they went to town with number 8 in the country. And and when we beat them, that pretty much kind of put the College of Charleston on the map as being like that team that you just did not want to play. I played obviously well that game, and it's ironic because if I had redshirted my freshman year, I would have been on the team that made the first NCAA tournament. I was just 1 year off because I did redshirt. But the thing that I really hold fast to is that, a couple of us made that foundation. And again, we won a 19 games, we were getting NIT consideration, we were on Sports Center, we started getting that notoriety, and it really set the stage for in the 90s, the College of Charleston. It was that preeminent team you did not want to play, and it went from there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I know me and Chris talk about that all the time, brother.
Go ahead.
We always talk about what it would have been like if we had either redshirted or went to prep school. If we had gone to prep school, or if we had redshirted that freshman year, things would have been completely different because I think that would have allowed us that time to mature. You know what I mean?
Right. Melendez says the same thing about his time at Virginia Tech. He wanted to redshirt, and Beamer was like, "No, I need you." But he said if he had redshirted, because the very next year started their run of bowls for 20 plus years, and he would have. But he was a part of getting that foundation going because he was bringing 757. But he was like, if I had just been redshirted, so yeah.
Because you think of redshirting, you think it's bad when you're on.
You think it's bad.
I needed that. I mean, I scored like over 800 points in 3 years because imagine if it just happened that extra year would have done. But I think that but I also go back and say, you know what, things happen for a reason. I was definitely blessed to be in the position I was in. And it's when I go back to the college and I see kind of what we were able to do as a team, 90 starting from that standpoint is tremendous. Like I said, I left the school. I was like the all-time leading shot blocker. I think I'm in the top 10 now. I think I've been pushed down the line by now. But so I'm proud of what we were able to accomplish, and I was able to accomplish. It's just interesting because Corey and I talked about this. At one point, we were talking about me going to Fort Union. I remember that came up. I was going to go to Fort Union with Cornell Parker. I remember all that was going to happen. I know me, Corey, we talk about it all the time. If you would have redshirted, but you know what? I wouldn't trade my experience for anything because it allowed me to grow up, from athletic and also academic, and this from a mature standpoint. So I wouldn't trade it for anything.
All right. So what I want to do is kind of bridge the gap, and let's talk about what you all are up to now. Corey, we ran into each other this past summer and found that you live right down the road. But why don't you catch us up with, what you're doing now? And let's follow that up with the effect that your journey of playing high school ball in Hampton and your college experience and what that's instilled with you. So, Corey, you're in the IT business over right down the road from me. So catch everybody up on what's going on.
Yeah, I am the director of client and product implementation and delivery for a company, a software development company out in Maryland, in Gaithersburg, Maryland, called Ames. I've been working there now for, I'd say, about 5 years, but I've been in this space for probably almost 20 plus years. So I've been in IT, software development, federal contracting, all of that stuff. I've been doing all of that ever since I moved to this area. Fortunately, Chris was the first person to actually get me a job in this area. So I was living down in Raleigh, North Carolina, eating tuna fish, a can of tuna fish a day. Chris felt bad. He called me up and was like, Corey, man, I'm gonna get you a job in DC. Trust me, I'll get you a job. I remember the job was $12.50 an hour. And I was like, what, Chris, you can do that? You can give me $12.50 an hour? He said, yeah.
That's not
Man,
bad.
I packed my bag so quick to get that $12.50 an hour. I drove
Corey.
to DC so fast.
Chris was the job hookup dude. Like
He
he
was.
wasn't. Chris, to this day, don't I still email you resume?
Yeah.
Chris works at you. Chris can tell his story. He worked in HR, and you probably still do. But like, remember my Aunt Lorraine worked with you. My aunt even said, "Hey, my Aunt Lorraine." She said, "Yeah." She said, "My boss," because she went back. She had stopped working when she had kids. She goes, "I work for a guy who says he knows my nephew Rusty and Melendez." And we were like, "Who is that?" She's talking about Chris Jackson. Oh yeah, sometimes you don't think you're doing enough. But Chris, real quick, what about you? You've been in HR now,
Yeah.
for a minute.
Oh yeah, I started off in HR. My first job out of the college of Charleston, I was working at Seabrook Island right outside of Kiowa, and I was trying to make whether overseas or keep working, but I decided to keep working in HR, and been doing that. Wow, for over 20 plus years, 25 years. I'm kind of aging myself, but specifically in recruiting in the DC area, government contracting, and I had the opportunity to move to Texas about 5-6 years ago, and did that. And now I work for Facebook Meta, and
Wow.
what I do there is global HR and legal compliance. So I work with all the recruiting HR teams globally to do risk mitigation as relates to privacy and any matters as relates to compliance in HR. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. It was one of those things. I remember when I first got the job and Corey didn't think I was going to move. So I used to live in Ashburn, in Brampton. I remember we got the job, and I was, Corey came out, saw the moving truck. He said, "Man, Jackson gonna leave." So I think, but it's been good. But also, before I want to mention this too, the coaching, the AAU part. And yes, I did coach, had an AAU team, and Corey was instrumental. Me and Corey had an AAU team in Ashburn, Virginia, the Loudon Cyclones, and we actually, our best year was U12, and we came in the top 20 in the country in Division I. For a team of players that were basically soccer players, right? As you mentioned, Rusty, giving that foundation.
Yep.
And it was one of those things that it really allowed me to kind of give back to those kids. And, again, Corey was tremendous, instrumental in really doing that. And from the coaching standpoint, and that's something I'm proud of as well, is that we're able to kind of give back to the youth what was given to us in terms of like the investment. And we mentioned having Coach Billy and Miss Billy host those dinners, right, which was a great advantage for us. So that's an example of us really giving back and really being appreciative.
Yeah, but don't forget Boo, though, Chris. Don't forget.
Boo, yes.
Don't forget Boo.
And what the one Boo story too. And I remember because at the time I was never able to be on Boo's A team. I was always on the B team. But Boo told me this, and at first I thought he was like this messing with me, but he was telling the truth. He said, "Chris, you're going to be a better college player than high school player." And I remember when I was playing college ball still, and I came back to Hampton, he saw me. Only thing he looked at me and he said, "I told you." And he was clairvoyant and knew that, you know what, your time is going to come. And I'm greatly appreciative for that. So thanks, Corey. Yeah.
So I don't know if you all have heard this, but Netflix is coming out with a documentary on Boo Williams, because I know some people that have been interviewed for it. So that's going to be fun. And
amazing.
Yeah. So Chris, you were kind of leading me to what I was going to ask both of you is, looking back, you're both very successful. And what do you attribute that to? Like, who was the most or top 2 or 3 most influential people inside, outside of sports? Maybe, it could be a relative or whatever. Chris, I mean, obviously you've got some people, Boo Williams was instrumental, but, that have helped you get where you are.
Well, first, I can't begin and not talk about, the sacrifices my mom made, right? I mean, being a single mom and, going through what we had to go through, as teenagers growing up, and just being that rock and really kind of keep me focused, especially to the point where got me to I could get a college degree. I think that was important. But I also would mention someone else, Coach Taylor. And the reason why
Coach
I would
Taylor.
say that is he was the first person who held me accountable, not only of being a good basketball player, but being a good person. And the lessons that I learned from him, to this day, I stand by. And it's nothing, I can't say anything but this positive comments around Coach Taylor. I mean, it was a time when those coaches really were like your parents. Like, if I got in trouble at home, my mom, she didn't worry about it. She just picked up the phone and called Coach Taylor, and Coach Taylor him. That's kind of how that was, and it helped us.
Yep.
Where was Coach Taylor?
In Bethel. He was the
He was
the
a-
JV
Oh, okay.
coach.
Okay. Okay, he was basketball.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the one thing is that
And
I
Don
think
Taylor.
we
Yeah.
Bethel is the furthest away from Kickintan and Phoebus. It's the furthest away. Hampton's a little closer, but so Corey, what about you? Your parents got divorced. You live with your mother, single mother. I came up with a single mother also, but
All of us.
yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about influential people in your life.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it depends on the stage of life that I was. So without a doubt, with my mother, like my mother always was there for me. The one thing that I think that I could owe to her is that I knew I was going to go to college because she went to college.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, there was no debate about it. I knew I was going to college. Now, how I was going to pay for it, I wasn't quite sure, but I knew based on the fact that she spent almost my entire childhood in college, I knew I was going to college. So that was one thing. I mean, that was like almost like a mentor for, someone that really wanted to pursue something.
Corey, I'll just say this. My mom, when I was growing up, my mom was first generation college. I didn't know I couldn't go to college. Like it wasn't an option.
And that's the way I feel about that, because my mom went to college, but she had me at 17 and she still went to college at 18. She didn't skip any time. She had me, graduated from high school, and then went to college. So I remember us walking all the way to Morgan, long walks, me sitting in class while she was in class. So, that's one thing that I will never forget. That, now as far as basketball, of course, Coach Bailey and Miss Bailey, man, they were instrumental in high school. They took care of me and Chris. And then, of course, Boo. I think Boo, he got me out there, you know what I mean? I don't think people understand everything that Boo does, you know what I mean? I hope this documentary does him, at least gives him his roses, because Boo was instrumental in getting my name out there and getting me that scholarship. I don't know everything that went about it, all the behind the scene things, but playing for Boo changed my life. You know what I mean? So, that, and a couple of weeks ago, no, about a month ago, UNCW had a ceremony for Coach Wainwright. Coach Wainwright, and I told him this that weekend, Coach Wainwright, he motivated me by giving me that attention that I could play in the ACC. He would just come and just send me workouts in the mail when I was in the 10th grade. When I first met him in the 10th grade, he would send me workouts in the mail. Way before the internet and email and stuff like that, he was mailing me workouts. And I just remember I couldn't wait for those workouts to come in the mail. You know what I mean? And then once you get to college, of course, I got my Uncle Freddie, that supported me tremendously. And then, I think at that point, it just depends. It's like different people at different stages of life help you. And I always appreciated a level of help that I could possibly get. And then on top of that, my boy Chris here, man, it's like 5 of us. All of us are boys. Man, the best support. I think that's the best support system that any person can actually have.
Well, one of the things is, Corey, I'd already gone off to college when you got there, but once you moved up here, because Chris was one of my friends, I got to know you better up here. And I don't know if Corey played with us, but you guys played, at least I know Chris and Aaron played with the Blondin brothers in some really good,
oh my goodness,
dominating the DMV.
Yeah.
And then, so can you and I know we're trying to get through this, but tell us about some of your experiences. Because Chris, y'all played remember I had that Alpha Phi Alpha scholarship tournament, and y'all were supposed to win that. Did y'all win it?
I can't remember.
Did y'all win it? Okay, I know. I think y'all might have won. I don't know, but I got the trophy from. It was a big thing, though. We put that tournament on. But tell us a little bit about playing with the blind and some of the people you guys played with outside of.
So Weaver. So again, that was back when. So to put the timeline together, Aaron had just got released from the
Aaron Monday.
Aaron Monday, yeah.
And so I was living in Maryland, and then I got Monday. Me and him became roommates. Then I got Corey up to the area. And then we all started playing this AAU, like post AAU. So I tell you, there was some good basketball. I mean, we used to win that every year. And shout out to Big Weaver. Big Weaver always fussing. Chris, get back on defense. I remember that all the time. And we actually
Adrian played on your team.
Adrian.
Yep.
And one time we used to play against college teams in the preseason. So we used to beat Montgomery College, and we went up there and played Ryder. And we lost to Ryder by 7 points. I remember that. And one of the big reasons why we lost, Aaron Monday didn't play. And so I was like by myself. But yeah, playing with those guys, and not only just we were good, but it was a good fellowship of individuals to kind of be around. So yeah, when I saw Todd was unbelievable. Let's give Todd Blundin. I don't know why Todd didn't play Division I basketball, but Todd was a monster. Oh my goodness. I remember those days.
That was a good time.
Yeah. Now,
Corey, I'm sorry, Rusty. Todd lives near One Loudon.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he lives right down the road from Lost Fox, where we met, literally right around the corner.
Okay.
So
this is where we want to transition, Rusty. Is that okay? All right. So
hold on. I do want to say this. Did I introduce you to the Blondins, Chris, or how did you hook up with them? Was it from? Didn't you come to our church?
I was playing pickup ball somewhere in Tyson's Corner. And it was Julian that saw me. He said, "You play ball?" And that's how he got me started first.
Oh, that's when we used to go to, what's that? Thomas Jefferson?
Thomas Jefferson, yeah.
Exactly.
That's when I saw Julian. And then he was like, yo, man, what's up with you? Your boy Aaron, he gonna play? And Corey was, So then that's how I started. That's when I first met Big Weed.
Okay. Because I remember you and Aaron and Weaver, we were all on the same team in that Antioch Church basketball league. And that was a talented league, man. It was some ballers.
Russ, you the lead scorer, Russ, man. I remember them days, man.
Yeah. Come on, now, do you believe? I will say this. I had to play point guard because everybody wanted to shoot. If you got Blondin on your team, you just got to pass in the ball. And Chris and Aaron had to get the rebound. And then I would just push it and just had to hand it off. But great times, great stuff. But let's go ahead and transition as we wrap up. Find out a little more personal things about you guys. Kirk, you want to ask any of those specific questions first?
Well, outside of sports, my favorite thing is music. So we reserve the right to bust on y'all. So, so let's talk about music. Chris, let's talk about your favorite. And everybody says they listen to everything, which is not true. But like back in the day, the gap period, and what do you think about now? So, Chris, what's on your playlist, man?
On my playlist, it's more, I'm Earth, Wind and Fire. I'm complete old school now. Earth, Wind and Fire, Teddy P, Lionel Richie, you know, the Jackson, the Michael Jackson, the Off the Wall.
Oh, yeah.
That one. That
Off the Wall is better
That's
than
the one I
Thriller.
like to see,
Rusty
right.
and I both agree with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, hold on, real quick, both of you, and we'll go back. Who's better, Prince or Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson. Oh,
I gotta go with Mike, man.
Okay.
I have to.
Oh, it's tough.
Come on, Chris.
Prince was talented though. I love Mike too, but
Prince is talented, but I gotta go with MJ.
All right.
I love MJ.
I'm Prince.
You know.
I like Michael Jackson better, but I do think Prince is more talented. That's just me.
That's all right. All right. So, Chris, what about anything now you like?
You know, to be honest with you, being in Texas, you know, I like some of the country music I be hearing now. I mean, some of
Oh, it's pretty good.
You know?
That goes with that
Yeah.
pickup truck you got. That's
Yeah,
what it
the
is.
truck guy. I changed.
Chris, you got a truck.
You got a pickup truck. Yeah, it went down there.
Oh yeah, man. Pickup truck's a big thing. So,
That's cool.
what about like some of your newer artists like Alicia Keys, John Legend, Adele? You know, some of the really good bands that have come out later on in our lives.
Corey, I don't really, yeah.
Come on, Corey. You get mad, Chris. You get mad props for talking Philly Motown, though.
See, but Kurt and Rusty, I have a son that introduces me to all of the new music.
It was
So you know what I mean? So like for me,
Yep.
I'm listening to all the new artists.
Yeah.
You know, all the young hip hop artists, all of the young R&B artists. That's what I listen to. So I hate to admit it. I mean, being my age, I probably shouldn't be listening to some of that stuff. But everything that's on the radio, man, I'm listening to it. You know, I love Lil Baby. I love the Baby. You know, I love all the Drake stuff. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, I can transition as well. So I can listen to the R&B. I can listen to the old school stuff. I love Sade. Sade is my favorite. I've seen her in concert.
Yes.
I can't wait till she tours again. You know, that's the best concert I think I've ever been to. Jill Scott is by far my favorite artist. You know, like whenever someone says anything about Jill, I got to go see her. So it just depends, you know what I mean? But I'm definitely an R&B and hip hop guy. Old school hip hop.
Gotcha.
I just saw for the first time. I think I told Chris. I just saw KRS-One. I don't know why I didn't see him when I was young, but he was good. Just 3 months ago, he was fantastic. So I'm like, I kind of missed out on him growing up. But Eric B. Rakim, Big Daddy Kane is my man. I follow these guys on Instagram.
Right.
So that's my thing. I love old school hip hop. So
All right, there you go. That's Baltimore and Hampton coming out. So, Chris, I was going to tell you that, you know, they toured. Did you go to Earth, Wind, and Fire and Carlos Santana? Yeah. Well, Santana's coming back because remember Rusty Todd Blondin said he's a huge Santana fan. So maybe they'll come back with Earth, Wind, and Fire. So Rusty and I also like to talk movie buffs. You know, I quote from movies, and we always ask people this. So, Corey, you have a favorite movie? And then second question is, what are you watching, whether it be streaming or a television show? So, movie.
Well, my favorite, I have 5 movies, I think it's 5. But I know, my all-time favorite, Love Jones. I love Love Jones. About Last Night, the original, the one with Rob Moore and Demi Moore, favorite movie. I can watch it anytime. Harry Met Sally, also one of my favorites. You know what I mean? I love that, that Christmas movie, The Family Man. The Family Man, and It's a Wonderful Life. Those are my movies right there. I can watch those movies. Actually, I watch them every December. I make sure I watch all of those movies in December every single year. So I finish my year off watching those movies. Now, as far as streaming go ahead, Kurt. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. As far as the streaming and stuff like that, honestly, man, like at this point, I don't have a lot of time to watch anything. You know what I mean? Like if I get some time, I'll try to watch a basketball game or something like that. But, I don't have time. Like I've been watching the Power shows, you know what I mean? All of the 50 Cent shows. I've been watching those. But other than that, I just don't have time to watch TV.
Mad respect on your movies. I like that. All right, Chris, you're up. You go bust on.
You know, the movie I always watch. This, you know, it depends. I'm kind of I like movies based in the movie, but the movie if it come on TBS, TNT, I watch it is Shawshank Redemption.
I was getting ready to call it.
Awesome.
Chris, I was getting ready to say, let me guess. Shawshank. I should have stopped you.
Yeah.
Andy Dufresne and Red.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it is interesting because you know what's going to happen, but I just watch it. I just can't watch it all the time, right?
All right.
Other than that, I mean, you know, again, like Corey mentioned, I've been watching the Power series, the Snowfall, which I've actually gotten into late, but wow, really,
I heard that's really good
right now too. My all-time favorite really show is The Wire. And that's another show that I can watch.
Number one, the best.
Gotta represent Baltimore, baby.
Baltimore.
I meant to say Baltimore.
Corey, you weren't a hopper while you were up there, were you?
The Boston boy.
Yeah. Corey, you were like you were hanging out with Bubbles.
No, man. When Corey came to Bethel, he told everybody to call him Stringer Bell. They called him Stringer.
Hey, Chris, and you guys can attest to this. That is straight up real. My buddy Tony Kennedy, who played for Tech, I said one time, because I've been through the hood in Baltimore, and I wanted to take my son to teach him a lesson. And he said, look up Frederick Douglass High School, take the main road into the city. And it was just like, they do not make anything up. And by the way, I believe they filmed every single scene, even the set scenes that didn't need to be in Baltimore. So,
Kurt, I'm just say this. Baltimore's got a reputation, and we all lived in Hampton. But right now, bro, you can go back to some parts of Hampton. In Baltimore, it ain't even like, bro, it's different now, man. I'm not even gonna say no neighborhoods, but you can go to Hampton and Newport News now and take your son there.
Rusty, I don't know about Hampton, but I've always said the bottom, the east end of Newport News is rough. It's rough. And but the thing about Baltimore and Philly is you got literally 100 blocks of it.
Exactly.
You know?
Okay, so let me represent. So my grandmother lived East End Newport News. 20th Street and Wicker. So it's interesting because I knew all those guys like Steve Artis and Lynch and
same here.
Man Venable. We would always play at Doyd Middle all the time. When I was
Ray Savage grew up right close to there. Yeah.
So I used to get chased home a lot of times when I was like a little kid. I remember, But it's funny when I started playing ball, they're like, "Oh, he played for Bethel. He cool now." I'm like, "Thank you."
Yeah. Same here. Chris, remember this? Chris, remember we used to, in the summer, we could just go across behind the mall and go over to Carver and Hines and play there in the summer. That's where I first started playing. One summer, like Ronnie Blackman and a bunch of folks was out there.
The boys be out there. Eric Hunter, that's the play on your
Eric Hunter. That's right. So here, speaking of all these people that we've just talked about, so we're going to wrap up with this. Is there anybody that you guys got in your phone that you could text and they'll get back to you that would be interested? Now, we may not even know who they are, but you just like, oh, this is who I know, or this. Who can you text and they'll hit you back?
Corey.
Oh, me? I don't know. I mean, I guess at this point, I'm always surprised about it, but I guess Gannon is like a celebrity at this point, right?
Okay,
So, that's the weird thing about it is that Gannon is the celebrity, So, I can text Gannon anytime. He'll always respond. I just saw him like about 3 weeks ago. So, and I know we have like a group text going on with some of the UNCW guys. So, so he is somebody that I can actually text and he'll respond. And, and my assumption is that he is a celebrity now. So that's kind of the funniest thing in the world right now,
Where did you see him 3 weeks ago, Corey?
At UNCW.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we had like a ceremony there for Coach Wainwright.
All right, Chris. Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh no, man. That chain, I'm way down, and I'm okay being way down that chain. I don't know. I think about that when I saw it. I don't know, but I would tell you guys someone you probably should talk to. Our friend Curdy Young, who not only was a great player at Deep Creek, but also he has kids that like his youngest daughter might be on the Olympic team in soccer. So I think that might be somebody you guys, maybe want to talk to.
You talk about Curly from Deep Creek?
Yep.
Yeah, went to Maryland, then
Deep Creek.
transferred. Yeah,
Yep.
I've communicated with him. He's a good dude. He played for Bethel.
Yeah, he in the house right now.
Yeah, he's at Chris's house.
Oh, he is?
His daughter is playing for Hampton University, and they won their first round game last night, and they played Longwood tomorrow in the second round. So,
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right.
In the Big South. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so I got to tell y'all who I got in my phone, and they'll hit me back. That's Chris Jackson. Chris, do you remember when we used to hang out? This is no joke, y'all. Chris and I would go down to Georgetown on a Saturday night, and we walk around, and people just see this tall 6'9" brother, and everybody thought he played for Georgetown or the Wizards. And I used to be like, yo, this is my boy. I remember we walking around, I'd be like, yeah, this is my boy. He played. Everybody be looking at him, and they just assume 6'9" brother in Georgetown. Okay, he had hair back then. He got to be a Hoya. And we worked that.
Because there wasn't many brothers down there at the time, so it had to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Corey, the night that I ran into you, there were a bunch of Redskins at that bar. I thought you were a Redskin. I didn't realize you were 6'7". I thought you were about 6'5", 6'6".
Hey,
And we were randomly talking, and I didn't play the line of, blah, 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 blah. No, but
I mean, you started bringing up stuff about me, and I was
I
don't remember this.
I just said, we were just talking about stuff, right? And then I just said, you're a pretty big guy. Did you play ball anywhere? And I didn't say that. I mean, we were talking like 15, 20 minutes. And then you were like, yeah, I played at UVA. And I was like, football? And then when you said basketball, I said, what's your name? You said Corey. I said, is it with an E? And he said, yeah. I said, Corey Stewart, right? And you like flipped out. But yeah, so that's funny. But what was that transition into? That just got me. I was just telling that story. We're going to wrap up.
Look, we're going to wrap up, but let me just say this. All right. We had a goal of trying to keep this interview to about 35, 40 minutes. But it always happens.
I know.
I thought somebody was looking at the clock. Who had the clock?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good, actually. We're doing pretty good.
But it's hard when you really know the dudes. And this is for all our listeners, like these are genuinely good dudes, man. Like, I mean, look, they never, no matter what they accomplish, whether they, like, I could see Corey or Chris while they were in college. I could see Corey in college on TV one day, and then he'd be like, hey, Rusty, like, genuinely nice people. And it's been like that for the last 30 years. And so I'm telling the people out there, really good people. I still see, I didn't know Corey until like he was at Bethel and I was already gone, but I met him and he was always nice. But in my eyes, I still see Chris as that awkward kid that used to come over my house and we used to play football in the yard, we play basketball. So I don't care how big you get, bro. I'm still like, oh man, it's Chris, man. But good people, and I'm proud to call y'all friends. And you are true 757 legends and people. We just wanted them to catch up with what y'all doing. And it's just been a blessing to y'all on the show.
Ask your brother this. I always wanted to ask him this. His hair was always just so silky and glowing. What chemical did he use to keep that hair all like that?
Hey, he used Soul Glow. He used Soul Glow.
Soul Glow. Yeah. Man, if you saw his pillow, it was all wet in the morning, man. Come on, dog.
Hey, Rusty. Hey, Rusty, I got to leave with this because I know this probably be our last time talking about Bethel with me and Chris. But ask Chris who won Defensive Player of the Year his senior year in high school. That's
Chris?
all I want to know.
Must be Corey Stewart.
I mean, I guess if the defensive player of the year just give up dunks and layups all the time. I guess he is. I guess from that definition, yeah, he would be. That's the only thing that me and Coach Bill they always disagreed on. I'm like, you could have gave him MVP, but giving him defensive player was like, well.
Hey, did Melendez get something like the Coach's Award?
It was something like that. Melendez
got thanks for coming out. You brought that football energy. Thanks, Melendez. We appreciate it.
All right, so Chris, the next time you're up here, we're gonna have Rusty come up. He's gonna take us to DC Prime, and he'll take care of it.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Right. And, and by the way, as we told you before, we're probably going to talk just like this, but let's definitely, when you're up here again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's get together. And we just want to remind everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Kirk and Bird BYRD, for the young athletes. We're covering a lot of events, and we do a lot of high school. I think we're one of the top high school podcasts at the Kirk and Bird BYRD. And man, it's been a lot of fun talking to you guys tonight. I remember we said 50 minutes. What are we at? We don't have a production crew. I don't care.
70 minutes.
70 minutes. That's all right.
And I'm gonna just say this. Last thing, Corey. Last time I think I actually saw you was the Martin Luther King Memorial had just kind of opened, and I worked at State Department. I could walk right over there, and I don't know if this was maybe during the day I was over there. I don't know if it was me, but I saw you there, and I who this big? Oh, Corey, that's my boy. And I'm really disappointed, not in seeing you, but you had on some purple and some gold, and I was like, "What did you do, bro? You should have talked to me."
Yes, Listen, he's trying to hate over there.
He could have become an alpha, but I could have talked to the brothers for you. Like, what happened?
Corey, did you get the brand? Did you get the brand?
Yeah, I have a brand. I have it all,
Wow.
I got
Corey, man, you should have talked to me first, bro. I mean, I'm sure you're happy and you paid your dues and you whatever and all that, but we would have really treated you right. And you could have been a part of something great. Like, you were at the monument for an alpha brother, okay? You were there for Martin Luther King, right? An alpha. Okay, just want to put it right.
All right, guys. It's been a lot of fun and really enjoyed. We mentioned a lot of people tonight, and from Hampton, the 757, all the way down to North Carolina, South Carolina, Coach Bailey and all these people, Boo Williams. So it's been a lot of fun. And, like I said, when Rusty gets that check, let's go out. I'm joking with Rusty. But we'll, sounds like Chris might want to get it. Working for Zuckerberg.
No.
Corey.
You got those stock options. You got Facebook in $1.
Corey, have you gotten a raise from that $12.50? I mean, if you've gotten a cost of living increase by now, you can cover it for it.
Rusty. Hey, Corey, I know where he lives. He's moved up. He's no longer washing dishes. Next week is all right. All right,
man. I remember going to y'all always had a fat crib when I would go visit in Loudon. So y'all balling. Y'all balling. All right. Thanks again, man. God bless you guys.
All right, guys. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Kirk and Bird, we are out.
All right, guys.